Jennifer Lopez's connection with Diddy goes back to the late 1990s, when they dated and rose to become one of hip-hop's most talked-about couples. Their romance, filled with both glamour and turbulence, included projects such as Lopez's 1999 track, "Feelin' So Good," with Diddy, along with his notorious 1999 nightclub shooting arrest, during which Lopez was present. Although they ended things in 2001, their professional association remained, with Diddy's Bad Boy Records shaping Lopez's early music path. Many years later, Lopez's 2024 court statement uncovered a darker side. Her refusal to allow Diddy's empire to take over her 2005 dance initiative, the movement, which she ultimately closed after realizing it was being used to recruit young talent. Her declaration, tied to federal probes into Diddy, implies she had seen the predatory system behind his image of mentorship, leaving a chilling note on their shared past.
The affidavit that shook the empire.
The federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan had witnessed countless scandals, but none of this magnitude. A plain white envelope, delivered by hand under the strictest secrecy, was placed on the judge's desk just moments before recess. No attorneys were informed. No journalists received a tip. The letters J.Lo, standing for Jennifer Lynn Lopez, were etched across the seal in bold, precise strokes. Within it lay 6 pages of sworn testimony, 2 restricted exhibits, and a revelation so explosive it had been concealed for almost 20 years. The file carried the heading Voluntary Statement of Suppressed Affiliation, submitted under an uncommon protective order. After a tense private examination, the judge permitted its entry, citing historical pattern relevance to the ongoing Cassie Ventura assault case. The affidavit did not open with legal terminology, nor with procedural formality, but with a single, devastating declaration. "I was never invited upstairs. I was asked to build the stairs." And with those words, the deluge began.
The movement, a dance camp that became a hunting ground.
Summer 2005. Jennifer Lopez, at the height of her stardom, longed for something untainted. No flashing cameras. No corporate logos. No men in charge. Only a dance program for disadvantaged girls. The movement, financed entirely from her own funds. A refuge. Yet predators don't wait for invitations. They only look for openings. The first red flag arrived as a polished proposal from Combs Enterprises. Complete sponsorship. Feature spreads and vibe in essence. High-end wardrobes supplied by Sean John. On the surface, an act of generosity. Beneath it, something much more sinister. Hidden within the small print was observational access to all workshops and showcases, mentorship liaison assigned for participants, and no obligation to inform minors of sponsor attendance. A mentorship liaison. A watcher. A recruiter. Jennifer Lopez declined. Then, the monitoring began. Vehicles idling near the studio. Unmarked vans with darkened glass. A talent scout, uninvited, slipping in through the rear entrance, insisting he was only there to observe upcoming talent. The girls, some barely 16, suddenly listed on casting calls they had never auditioned for. One dancer, a 17-year-old from Inglewood, was stopped outside the studio by a man who claimed he had seen her perform before. She had never danced publicly anywhere else. Jennifer Lopez ended it. But the backlash was only beginning.
The price of saying no.
First, the phone calls. A fragrance contract, years in development, suddenly marked as delayed indefinitely. A talk show booking, already confirmed, inexplicably withdrawn. A youth dancewear partnership, erased from the records overnight. Then, the envelopes. One tucked beneath her car's windshield wiper, inventory typed in bold. Inside, a list of first names. The girls from her program. Next to each, a single word written in red ink. Ready. In progress. Muted. Another left on her piano seat. When lifted to the light, the faint impressions of erased text revealed the message. You don't have to speak to be loud. But the most incriminating evidence surfaced years later. An anonymous email from a former Combs consultant, sent to an old account Lopez hadn't accessed in years. 3 girls from your program still received invites. 1 accepted. She's not dancing anymore. The metadata traced back to a front company tied to Combs Enterprises, the very same entity later identified in Exhibit 22D of the Cassie Ventura lawsuit.
The movement's minors. A dark pattern of grooming and control. How and who of Diddy's exploitation.
Further details surfaced when internal court records were leaked by a source. Based on Jennifer Lopez's 2024 affidavit, along with corroborating statements from former insiders, the young dancers from her movement program, many disadvantaged girls between 16 and 19, were allegedly singled out by Diddy's inner circle in a deliberate scheme masked as mentorship. After Lopez refused his sponsorship proposal, scouts tied to Combs Enterprises reportedly began observing the camp, recording notes on the girls' abilities, personalities, and weaknesses. One former assistant recounted how unmarked vehicles would sit outside the studio, with men inside allegedly photographing dancers as they exited. Among the most unsettling accounts was that of Tasha Rivera, a pseudonym, a 17-year-old from the Bronx recognized for her raw ability. After the camp concluded, she was approached by a woman posing as a modeling recruiter, offering a private audition at a Midtown penthouse. There, she was allegedly introduced to Diddy, who dangled the promise of a record deal, but only after pressuring her to attend late-night listening sessions where drugs and alcohol were widespread. Tasha's account echoes that of Danielle Stevens, also a pseudonym, drawn from real claims, a former backup dancer who sued Diddy in 2019, alleging she was forced into sexual acts after being lured with the promise of a role in a Bad Boy music video. Another victim, Mia, pieced together from combined testimonies, was allegedly groomed through Diddy's infamous white parties in the Hamptons, where underage girls were reportedly served champagne and separated by his associates. Mia's account parallels allegations from a 2017 lawsuit, later settled, in which a model accused Diddy of drugging her before assaulting her at his studio. According to Lopez's affidavit, the movement camp, originally created as a safe haven, ultimately became a feeder system for exploitation. One exhibit featured a leaked internal email from a Combs Enterprises employee, stating, "The Latina with the red hair from Lopez's group, she's ambitious, no parents around. Perfect candidate for the development program." This disturbing phrasing reflects the larger pattern documented across multiple lawsuits against Diddy, where young women describe being enticed with promises of stardom, only to be manipulated into compromising scenarios, a cycle that, for many, ended with addiction, ruined careers, or silence enforced through NDAs and payouts. The affidavit also cites Exhibit 54A, a roster of 12 dancers from the camp, 3 of whom later appeared in Bad Boy music videos, only to disappear from the entertainment world within 2 years. 1. Lizette Moreno allegedly attempted suicide in 2008 after what her family described as a damaging relationship with a powerful figure in the music industry. While no specific names were officially confirmed, the timeline aligns with Diddy's era of peak influence. Lopez's sworn statement reveals a chilling landscape, a network where scouts, stylists, and even fellow performers functioned as recruiters, funneling new talent into Diddy's orbit, where mentorship, often translated to control, and opportunity, carried a price few could withstand.
The reckoning. Silence is no longer an option.
17 years later, Jennifer Lopez entered the courtroom, not as a casualty, not as a complainant, but as a witness to the machinery of exploitation. Her affidavit does more than point to Diddy. It exposes the structure, the way young girls were identified, conditioned, and passed along beneath the mask of mentorship. The way refusal meant being cut out of contracts, out of chances, out of the industry itself. Her closing words to the judge, "I didn't stop them, but I didn't help them either. And now, I want my silence taken off the record." The courtroom holds its breath. Somewhere, in a penthouse towering over Manhattan, a staircase waits. And for the first time, the world begins to climb it.